What's going on, YouTube? What's going on? What's going on? What's up? What's up, family? Look, I ain't gonna lie, it's been a minute. I just want to kind of chat with y'all and just do some real chill stuff. I want to try something different. So, from now on, I'm not gonna say exactly what I'm gonna do because, I'm gonna just let my actions speak. But I'm trying something different today. I have a timer set for 50 minutes. I have a timer set for 50 minutes, and I'm going to sit here, and all I'm going to do is just yap for 15 minutes and just break it up into little segments and just see what we end up talking about. Got a little beverage and absolutely no script, no plan. How you guys doing? You guys doing good? I hope you guys doing good. Listen, I want you guys to pay attention to your blessings. When life is good, acknowledge it. When life is going bad, find a way to look at it and find the good in the bad that's happening, because the reality is the bad stuff will never leave your life. Unfortunately, some stuff you just can't avoid experiencing, but you got to be able to find the good in everything that's going on in your life, and that's kind of easier said than done, I believe. However, it's very much possible. And the way I see it is, even though this might be really bad to say, the way I see it is, if it's gonna happen anyway and it's already going on, you might as well not sit there and just sit there in your sadness and let it eat you away. If you're in a situation where you're going through a breakup, I know it's a really hard thing to deal with. However, losing yourself by sitting there and rotting and dwelling over it is not gonna help. If you're dealing with any type of situation like that, I highly suggest you find a way out of it, and quickly. Don't sit there and dwell in it. Go to God, talk to God, release your feelings to God, and allow Him to listen. And I pray that you have friends near you that are willing to listen as well. That's always a great thing, also. If you don't, I'm always here, even though you may not know me. My DMs are open. I'm always willing to talk. I do it pretty often as I can, as often as I get a message about somebody needing some advice, somebody needed some help, somebody needs somebody to talk to. I'm always willing to sit there and listen, because if not, how much more do I have? I've kind of looked at life a little bit differently lately, and even though it's one of my hardest struggles, I will say that I have been making an intention of mine to be a little more invested into other people, and I think the experiences that I have shared since trying to do so has been priceless. I am still struggling to do it. It is still difficult, but I'm definitely getting better at it, and I can see the impact. I can see the importance of being invested in other people. I've been reading an amazing book. I have it right here, actually. I've been reading an amazing book called Just Listen by Mark Goldstein. Goldstein. Just Listen by Mark Goldstein. This is an amazing book, seriously. If you want to learn how to connect with other people, if you want to learn how to understand other people, how to get through to other people, this is a very good book to read. This book it has kind of shined light on the selfishness that we have in ourselves. I'll just direct it to me. The selfishness that I have in myself, um, my kind of ego, self-centeredness. And anybody who knows me knows that I'm not a fan of talking about myself too much. But I've never been too invested in other people, not as much as I think I should be. And I'll tell you about experience of how I shared this without getting too specific. I was going into work one day, right? I was going into work. Every morning before work, I read this book for, I would say, about 30 minutes minimum. About 30 minutes minimum. I would show up early. I would get in the car. I would sit there, and I would read this until it's time for me to clock in. So about 30 minutes, sometimes 40 minutes, whatever. This day in particular, I was like, wow, the information that's in this book is absolutely incredible. So what I did is I was like, let me try it out for the first time. Let me be invested in other people. I'm not a big fan of conversation. Not that I'm bad at it, but I'm not really one to start conversation because I've never been a fan of sitting there and talking to people. I'll be honest. I'm a very impatient person. I've never been a big people person. And I intend and would love to change that in the near future. But it is difficult for me, and it's one of my hardest struggles. This day, I get out the car, and my boss, it's me and my boss, very early in the morning, just us two. And first thing in the morning. He gets the first words out. I have made it a goal of mine now to, if I'm crossing paths with somebody, if I'm entering a room, if any of the case, I am going to be the first person to say something. That is bottom line. That is one of my goals here out. If I see a woman walking towards me, I'm going to say, good morning, how are you, before she gets a chance to. What a lot of us do is we wait and we're like, okay, well, I'm too far to say anything to this person, so let's wait. No, I'm going to be the first person to say it. I want to greet this person first. I want them to know that I'm kind. I'm not a danger. I'm not saying I look like a threat. However, being an African American male with dreadlocks sometimes does rub people the wrong way. Also, I don't have the most inviting look to myself always. Despite how I may look on camera, it's not the same in person, you know. I have much more closed off energy, I feel. He gets the first word off, and immediately this struck me. I was like, okay, I see what's going on. When you get the first word off, you instantly take control of whatever's going on. Now, if I've learned anything in the past few years of this journey, the first person, or sorry, if you are not in control, that means someone or something else is, right? So with him getting the first word off, instantly I lost control of the situation, or I could have lost control of the situation. So what I did after him saying good morning and whatnot, immediately I made an attempt to switch it and gain control over this conversation. Now, I know this sounds really weird, but regularly this would be normal. The only reason it sounds weird is because I'm talking it from a place of conscious thinking. When this becomes some subconscious behavior, it won't be as weird. But if you are trying to learn a new skill, it has to be conscious behavior first. So I'm consciously making adjustments to better adjust to this conversation in a way that I want to. So normally I'm used to walking in. He asks all the questions. How are you doing? How is things? Whatever. Just random questions. Did you have a good night? How's your week going? Are you excited for this? Very common for older adults who have experience with talking to have a better banter or have a better way of controlling a conversation, right? So I switched it up this time. I am asking the questions, and I'm not just asking any questions, but I'm purposefully making it a goal of mine to be invested in what is going on. How do you be invested in what's going on? In my mind, to me, that's kind of like, for the time being that we're talking, I'm going to act like I am, not act, but I'm going to move this conversation as if I am very much intrigued by this person. Like whatever they say is interesting to me, or I want to learn more about them. So I'm not pretending to be interested, but I am showing an interest in them. There's a bit of a difference, right? But pretending to be interested would kind of be like whatever they say, I'm just like, wow, that's amazing. Being interested and actually making it an effort to be interested in who the person is, asking engaging questions, noticing when they're talking, what things light their eyes, what topics when they speak about lights their eyes. And I caught that topic, and like I said, without going into too much detail, that topic led us into about an hour of talking about what clearly to me was one of the things he was most passionate about. And I really then understood the power of being invested in others. And it's all because of this book, Just Listen by Mark Golston. I highly recommend y'all read this book. It is a phenomenal book. It is outstanding, truly outstanding of a book. How far am I into this book? Not very far. I'm about 70 pages in. I got this book a while ago, but I never really took too much time to read it. But I've been highly invested in this book. I think this book is phenomenal. I think everyone should read it if you want to learn how to connect with other people. Be more interested. Notice when you have a conversation. I have noticed while paying attention that if there's a cashier behind the register and I'm talking to her, let's just say it's a woman, an older woman, whatever the case may be, could be a man, doesn't matter. If I'm talking to them and let's say I start the conversation, right? I take control of the conversation, which is going to be the case a lot of times if you're, especially if you're younger like me. It's going to happen a lot. Older folks, a lot of them, they love to talk. A lot of them don't. It's really, Their age has nothing to do with it. You'll just see new experiences as you experience them, but strive to look for them.